busy. All of you have a full-time job. So you're spending at least a week, maybe more than a week here to learn new technologies and new tools. As you probably already aware, DsSAT itself was developed more than 40 years ago to use computer technologies to address issues related to food security. The software itself, which you're learning during the last couple of days, has come a long way, but it's still somewhat challenging. And you probably already faced some of these challenges where you're using some of the tools, and I'm just looking at the screen here, where you're using a tool called xbuild to create what we call a crop management file. And I think your workshop is 5 or 6 days, which is relatively short, to really learn everything about DsSAT. So I think that this workshop here is just an introduction on how you can work with DsSAT, how you can prepare your own data for running DsSAT, and then hopefully there will also be some discussion on how you can actually use DsSAT as a tool in your own program. So I'm not really sure if you work in research, if you work in extension, if you're working in the area of teaching, but in all these areas, DsSAT can be used as a tool. And ultimately, DsSAT is just another program in what I call your toolbox to help you do your work better. I think some of you learned R recently, you learned remote sensing. These are all technology tools. And DsSAT belongs in that area as well, but it can be extremely powerful. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to stay with you for 5 or 6 days to do the training here, and this is not my role, because as we have done, we have trained the trainers. Yeah. So yes. Many of the people here have been to the University of Florida, where I'm currently, or have been to University of Georgia, where we conduct training on DsSAT, or Washington State University, to teach you on how to use DsSAT. And if you're working in the university, maybe you can become a trainer as well to train your students on the use of DsSAT. In this current day and age, and we talked some about AI in the previous session, digital technologies are becoming extremely important, and we cannot ignore it. So DsSAT itself is an extremely powerful tool to help you address and understand the interaction between genetics, between environment, both weather and soil conditions, and crop management. And hopefully, once you've worked with DsSAT, you conduct what we call in silico experiments. So you can use your computer to have a hypothesis, and then you can use the DsSAT model to see what the answer will be. And then hopefully that can then be used to help you determine a new experiment. Okay. So there are many ways in how you can use the software. In addition, from DsSAT being somewhat challenging to use, it's also not perfect. Okay, I'm the first person to tell you it cannot predict everything. We had some questions in the previous session about pests and diseases, the biotic stressors. So in what you're doing right now, you don't find anything about pests and diseases yet, but we're working on bringing that into this modeling system as well in the near future. And that is, for those of you familiar with it, it's even more complex because each crop has its own pests and its own diseases, multiple pests and multiple diseases. So, and if you want to use digital technologies, we need to have a model to address those. So, again, I really appreciate your interest that you're here, take it to going outside maybe your comfort zone to learn these new technologies. And as I showed in my slide yesterday, we briefly discussed this morning, we have a very large group of DsSAT users in Pakistan, 2,000 plus, and you're one of them. And And this all goes back to our Vice Chancellor here, who I think is the grandfather of DsSAT in Pakistan. But anyhow, but the other thing I do want to emphasize, unfortunately I have to leave shortly. If you have any questions about DsSAT, first ask your trainers, okay? Ask your trainers. But if they cannot answer your question, you can send me an email. And normally I try to respond as quickly as possible to any emails I get from anywhere across the globe. Because I feel it is important to support you in what you're doing with these pragmatic systems. So again, I really appreciate your interest. Thank you.
Great.
Very good.
Excellent. It's great.
Samar, you can ask question, how remotely sensed data can be used in model? Make yourself clear. Do you know all this?
Yes, sir.
If any question, any of you, the question which we have already done in the hall, we should not repeat that. Anything, why the SWAT people you are not asking question? Because your agriculture is mountain agriculture, and he is expert of that. When I was in University of Georgia, he developed two forecasting for the peach and peanut, and it was as I remember, it was from the farmers, and there was a system like early warning system for whole state. So these things we need on different states, different regions, different areas. May it be different for South Punjab, may it be different for the upper central Punjab, and for the KP, for Sindh, for Balochistan, everything, everywhere we have to develop different side of forecasting system. And of course, it will, all of us will share with you for what we require, like automatic weather station. One of the questions were in the hall, that how we can control the flood. Basically, we cannot control the flood, but we can forecast. Like 7 days or 3 days or 74 or 2 hours earlier, what is going to happen? And for that, Professor Gerrit, we are developing a network of the automatic weather station in this area, like 300 of them, and 300 from this part, from Tonsa, we call it, up to the Sindh. And then there are installation of the automatic rain gauges also. So that area, this will also cover. Why I'm encouraging you? Because you should ask your specific question, if any, related to your area, to your region, I should say, region, your discipline of your research, like these things. So, again, if there's any question which you think it will educate you, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think they are.
It looks like they are perfect.
No, they are.
Everything is clear.
It's still early in the
Yes,
as part of the workshop.
Yeah.
So normally the questions come in day 4 or day 5 of the workshop when people have become more familiar with
Yes.
the software. Right now you're still challenged with creating a crop management file, which I know is very, very difficult if you don't understand, not familiar with the concept. So, so anyhow, you don't have to ask questions, okay? One thing I would like to ask, I'm just looking at the poster there. I would like to have a group picture of all of you with us in there as well, as a memory of this workshop.
on the stage. No, outside the stage, sir.
Yes, that will be.
We take a picture. Professor.
ठीक है यार एक गल करो
आप अंदर बैठे हैं, हम इनको सेट करते हैं, वहाँ पे आप आ जाओ।
हम भी बाहर चलते हैं, लेट्स ब्रीथ और इन द मीन टाइम वी सेट